All right, welcome to another edition of the Aamsco podcast. We're here with the great Liz Congero and the
Not
his
so,
the I don't know not the what
Mr.
Infamous
Mr. Bob.
Mr.
Mr.
Bob.
Bob's here.
Bob's here,
Mr. B.
and
Oh,
today
uh,
and I guess today we're going to talk about the kind of the evolution of light and operating in the 21st century. So
the way Aamscos been involved in lighting for so long. How many years is it now, Bob?
2 years older than Dirk I am. Let's see.
No, but the company's not that old.
46 years.
Okay, 46. Not bad.
46.
Not bad. It's good staying power.
46.
I
Yeah, we
was a
got
wee,
staying power, that's for sure. Yeah.
I was a wee lass when we first met.
Mm,
1980 something. Uh,
yeah, 80 something. But I met Patina when she was young. Yeah.
I started with Aamsco in 88.
oh
So
wow,
it's been a long time. And since then, I mean, I was actually in the lighting business a little bit before I was with Bob,
yeah,
worked for a competitor.
yeah,
And then I came over to Bob and moved to Florida and worked for him since. It's been great. It's been really great. But
Looked
we've
up
seen
there.
a lot of stuff happen since the 80s. And
yeah,
he can go even further back than that in lighting. But um, I remember when halogen was the new thing, halogen technology.
mm,
You know, which is incandescent, but you just put halogen gas in there. And I remember Bob, we did a few mailings back then before the computer and before email. Remember the Uncle Bob and Aunt Liz mailing we did?
Yeah, and I remember the postcards too. We used to do mail
Yeah,
postcards.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that was.
So even marketing has changed. We used to do direct mail all the time. I mean,
mm,
we did postcards, we did flyers, we did all that stuff.
mm,
And back then we still are considered a specialty lighting company.
yeah,
So specialty is something that a lot of places don't bother with because it's low volume. Most companies want to sell, thousands and thousands of pieces and get them out there. And we decided to go the opposite direction and supply people with things that they're harder to find. So we found our niche there. We really
mm,
didn't have as much competition as everybody else trying to sell standard light bulbs.
mm,
So I think that was one of the benefits that Aamsco provided. Also, that Bob had a lot of ties with Europe
mm,
and European lighting, and here in the States, people would use European equipment, and the lights that were used in them, you can't find them in the United States because they have special sockets or different voltages and different bases. So our tie to Europe brought us even more business, industrial, commercial business because of the machinery needed the bulbs. Machinery needs a lot of different lighting, whether
mm,
it's an indicator light to say something's on or off, or it's a heat lamp to cure plastics.
yeah,
A lot of that stuff comes from England or different countries and a lot of times you can't find that here. So
mm,
we kind of made a statement with European and specialty lighting. So there was halogen was big, standard incandescent first, then halogen came, halogen gas light bulbs, and then after that, um, people wanted more energy efficiency.
mhm,
So we saw that fluorescent technology was even better, right? So
yeah,
how would people use fluorescent in a regular socket in their house? So GE and other big companies invented the compact fluorescent, which had the same concept. It was
mhm,
spirally and it was ugly, but it screwed in and it saved you electricity, it saved you money. Unfortunately, nobody really just talked about the mercury content in there.
yeah,
And so it was not really a sustainable or environmentally friendly uh,
mhm,
lighting. So
interesting.
now what to do? So um,
So
that
when did that change? When did that change when it started moving into the mercury? They stopped the mercury, then they moved into what was the next kind of you
Well,
know?
no, it was fluorescent tubes, but fluorescent had to have mercury
Okay,
in the tube for it to work.
okay,
and disposing of the tube became a real problem, whether it was a straight 4-foot tube or a compact fluorescent. You always had the chance that the mercury, when the tube was finished, it would be broken and the mercury would get out. And I think the biggest problem, the worst thing that ever was made in lighting, was when they tried to make fluorescent dim.
Okay.
That was the worst concept I've ever seen in all the years of lighting. Trying to make fluorescent dim, all it really did was just flicker and just, it didn't do anything. Like everybody thought it was going to look like incandescent when it dimmed. We got warm, soft color. It just flickered. I don't think there's too many people out there still using fluorescent dimming anymore.
Yeah, well, LEDs aren't much better with dimming.
No, yeah, it's but fluorescent.
Yeah, that's a challenge to provide energy savings. You know, the next step was LED. LEDs have been around for a very long time. I remember, I mean, in different form. You would have a very small diode in your car dash panel, let's say, or any electronics push button control switches and things like that would have little tiny LED diodes. So they have been around forever. The problem was getting an LED to be white, the white color. So most LEDs are red, blue, green. So there was a challenge in how to get those LEDs to be white. So they figured out how to do it. And so now it became a mainstream energy efficient light source that could be used, you know, residential homes and take the place of inefficient, incandescent, heat producing light bulbs. And there's no mercury in LEDs. So you've got a more sustainable product now for the environment. So I think LEDs will be around for a while because I can't think of any other progression. I mean, there is already on the market micro LEDs and different types, but it's all LED based.
Don't forget organic LEDs.
And organic, yeah, I know.
Yes.
So light emitting diode, you know. So you know, we always evolved with. We went along with the trends in lighting. And so, because you have to, I mean, you can't just stay behind or else you're redundant and then you'd be out of business. So you have to keep moving forward. And so we moved forward with just selling light bulbs. We moved forward into European light bulbs, specialty light bulbs. We moved forward into light luminaires and wall sconces using specialty light bulbs. So then we saw mirrors became something. When I think in the 90s or early 2000s, illuminated mirrors.
Yeah, 98.
On the market, yeah.
In 1998, I saw something like that at a show in Paris.
Okay.
Which had been done in Europe for many years, but it was different. And we just, originally it was just done with incandescent bulbs. And then we started putting some Philips high color rendition bulbs, tubes in there, because fluorescent, nobody liked fluorescent. In America, fluorescent was just kind of like cool white. And the color rendition index on ordinary cool white was like 67. It was terrible. It was like nobody would put fluorescence in their living room. It was like a factory. But Philips, and I guess Osram too, in the 90s started coming out with these high color rendition fluorescent tubes, which is what we put behind the mirrors, and it made it very flattering and warm tones.
Okay.
That kind of changed everything for backlight mirrors. I mean, once they had the new high color rendition bulbs.
Yeah.
Yeah, so then we started to develop some illuminated mirrors using fluorescent in the beginning.
Okay.
And we did hair salons, you know, if you think of places that needed an illuminated mirror, and then it graduated into different areas, you know, like just residential. And then we came out with a unique product, which is our angled mirror, which tilts down a little bit. It's actually, it doesn't move. It's statically tilted down.
Yeah.
And that, you know, we thought about that for the people who are disabled or who have height limitations. And that we thought would be interesting. Why should they sacrifice having a nice lit mirror or not being able to see themselves, And so that really took off, and we're doing very, very well with that. Because they can be used in public restrooms, in the handicap stalls, and even in buildings where you need to have some ADA compliance in the restrooms. And I think we've been doing very well with that. So that's kind of a unique piece. Now, we don't mass produce those either. Everything is kind of made on demand and made in our factory. And I think we should take pride in that, because we're a small company, but we still have a production facility here. And we do really well. I mean, I think a lot of people like that.
Yeah.
We're kind of a mom and pop, and we put our whole selves into what we make.
Yeah.
So it's not mass produced in China. We try to stay away from that. I mean, sometimes we have to pay the bills, so we have to get stuff out of China like everybody else. But I think the meat and potatoes of Aamsco is that we are a small family, and we put our hearts into everything that we make. And there's going to be quality behind that, because our reputation, our name, we don't want to put out something that's really going to fall apart when you get it. So I think that's a big plus about being a small company. You're able to have good quality control over your products.
Can you mention anything on the fact that, like, who are some of the jobs that you've done for, like, recently or in the past for the handicap mirrors? I know we just got a big order in.
We get some good, or we did a project for the Bank of America corporate offices throughout the United States. And they would buy one or two per building, but there's a lot of Bank of America places.
Yeah, that's true.
So we got a lot of those. What other big contracts did we get from mirrors? I'm trying to think. I know we have on our website, we have a lot of project images, because our name it gets around, believe it or not, as small as we are. And architectural firms will actually specify Aamsco on some really big name jobs. And you'll see, we always mention the architect's name on all of our project images that we get from them. And it's good that Aamsco, a small company, can have that kind of credibility with the architects in that industry.
And is that because you've been in the industry for so long, people know who Aamsco is, they trust Aamsco. Aamsco always comes through. Aamsco's got a great reputable name.
And we cater to them. If they need a custom piece, we work with them that way. And I think we're easy to work with. It's not just cut and dry. You take what we have and leave it, but we'll work with them. And I think that our staying power. We've been around for so long that people look to us.
And when they call, they're not calling a call center. They're actually talking to somebody specifically.
And we will make them a custom mirror, even if it's just one up.
Yep.
If they want something that's truly unique, that they're not going to see in their neighbor's house, we will work with them.
Yeah.
And, you can go to the big box stores and get it a lot cheaper than us. But
yeah.
You want something that's a little nicer and truly reflecting your style and not what comes out of the big box store.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll do that. We'll work with you. We'll make you 1, 2, 3, whatever. We'll make each one different for the particular size bathroom you want.
Yeah.
Everything is custom.
Yeah, and we even evolved that angled mirror to become a medicine chest. And that's got a lot of good response so far. We did sell a few. We went to a show called the Abilities Expo rather than Disability. It's called the Abilities Expo. And we got an order or two from a facility that caters to people with cerebral palsy.
Okay.
And also assisted living facilities. Those people want to stay independent. And so that's one thing you think about, trying to reach for your medications and you can't get to it.
Yeah.
So we thought about those people, and we created that design. Again, that's a very unique design. With a pull down shelving. We won an award, actually 2 awards already, the Lighting Design Award and the Architectural Record Product of the Year. So that's an award-winning product, and it's one of many actually.
Yeah, yeah. I was just
Yeah.
thinking that. Like,
Yeah,
what are
yeah.
some of the awards that you've won, Bob? Like, just throughout the years, you've won an array of awards.
Well, we got written up in the New York Times
Yeah,
and made the front cover of GQ magazine,
yeah,
which not everybody does.
that's true.
And I was actually interviewed on BBC World Service, where people could
Yeah,
hear me all over the world.
yeah,
So we
Yeah.
we're we're kind of like a boutique. We have a kind of a low profile. We make custom pieces. We don't try to see who can be the biggest, and we just try to make the best we can make, and we try to make it here. I mean,
hmm
that's it.
Bob has been very successful in creating the Aamsco brand.
yeah,
If you look up Bob Rosenzweig on Google, he's in Wikipedia.
hmm
He actually was the one who brought many of the products that you see that had been mass produced to market. For instance, the Ferrowatt brand. You did a series on that.
yeah,
No one heard of an incandescent that kind of an Edison light bulb before. And
yeah,
Bob did all his research and saw all these things in Europe, and we got the brand Ferrowatt, and we marketed it so well, using original carbon filaments. Do you remember that? We had original, we
Right.
still have some that were hand wound and
mm,
put into the glass, and you've got a Thomas Edison light bulb, basically. Okay.
yeah.
Kraft restaurant in New York, yes,
Right. That was it.
they
That was
put
the rest.
that light bulb on the menu cover.
Right.
And
Wow.
yeah, I mean, that's still, I think to this day, I don't know, but I mean, so we made the Ferrowatt brand, Aamsco did. And what happened soon after we introduced that into the market, that other places said, oh, look at that. And they ended up mass producing it, and there you go. But there was no such thing before Bob brought that in.
Yeah.
Secondly, the filament LEDs, okay? Bob is the first one that introduced those filament LEDs into the US market. Okay, they are Chinese, but before that, there was no such thing. We brought this light bulb that looked just like an incandescent bulb with these little stick filaments that were LED. We showed them at Leducation at a trade show. People thought they were real incandescent light bulbs. Oh my God, it looks just like a regular bulb. And so we won an award, a Product of the Year award for that. And right after that, we were copied and mass produced and just shoved right out of the market.
Yeah.
But we're still selling those today. We're still, but that was
that's
us.
how it's been.
Right.
It's
And
whatever we come up with, they copy.
And you see them now in Home Depot shelves.
Yeah.
I mean, but we started that, Aamsco. Also, another LED product was the corn cob LED. Bob comes back from overseas and he says, God, Liz, I saw this thing. It looks like a corn cob. It looks like you could eat, And I go, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
And he shows me this thing. I'm going, that's never going to sell. What are you do with that, right? We won Product of the Year with that.
Wow.
And we were the first ones, again, to bring this product to market because people were looking for in the commercial industry.
Yeah.
How can we save money and electricity when we're using these big metal halides, 400 watts? Is so much, the electric bill is crazy.
Yeah.
So we brought these things where instead of a 400 watt light bulb, you're using a 40 watt light bulb.
40 or 60, and they came on immediately. With metal halide and other HID type gas bulbs,
Wow.
they have to cool down. So if there's a momentary power failure, the lights go out.
Yep.
And it'll be 3 to 4 minutes before they come back.
That's like
on.
I remember football games when the lights would go out. You'd have to wait for 5-10 minutes for them to come back on.
That was back
that.
metal halide days, right? I don't
Wow.
think very much. I don't think any stadiums are doing it. I think they're all LED now.
Yeah. Yeah.
But we ended up getting $100,000 order for corn cobs a little while back.
Wow.
They were done for a Las Vegas project. And I'm not sure. I don't have any project images, Dean. But
okay.
But that was a nice order, for those things. And we still get it. I just got another $28,000 order yesterday for the same thing. Well,
tell me a little bit about this, operating operating in that market, you're being copied. Everything's, and things are becoming a little more difficult because what you pioneered is just being ripped off.
Exactly.
How is that been like the main struggle as a small boutique business operating in the 21st century?
Well,
What's
I wouldn't say it's because of the 21st century. It's just
Yeah,
we're a small business.
yeah,
And so there's only so much, resources that you have.
yeah,
So, you'll have somebody who is a very big company, like let's say Acuity or, these really big companies
yeah,
that got a lot of money behind them. And so
hmm
they've got the ability to do the big volume.
yeah,
So and that's the drawback. But
hmm
again, we build the brand, we build a market for these
hmm
products, and we do well with it, and we still do well with it. There's
hmm
enough crumbs out there for everybody to do well, and so what are you going to do? I mean, but that's fine. But we keep that. The point is
yeah,
though that in 46 years we've been able to find the next innovation,
yeah,
and I think. And by showing those awards that we get, and always saying, we were the first ones,
yeah,
I think a lot of people will forsake maybe another company's product and stay with
yeah,
Aamsco because of that reason.
yeah. And some of the things that we're working on right now, let's talk a little bit about Lightly, a little bit about OLEDs, kind of how that's all
Right.
kind of tying into kind of what we're seeing. And Bob's got the eye here, and Bob
Right.
sees things that are unique.
Yes.
What is it about Lightly that really drew you, and OLEDs that really drew you into this is different. This is cool.
Yeah. Well, I think before that, one of the reasons was looking for the next best thing.
The
Right.
next best thing, yeah,
We're looking for the next. I mean, there
Right.
aren't too many new things coming over the horizon,
yeah,
Right.
and we're trying not to look east. We're trying to look west rather than to China. There are things coming out, especially out of Germany.
hmm
Unique products, and I guess OLEDs was the next thing, and Lightly was a something that was based on the OLED technology,
hmm
but it didn't have a lot of the drawbacks that OLEDs had,
hmm
and it had some of its own, but it was a good niche product that would fit in for someone who needed something like flat lighting,
yeah,
and so and it kind of went hand in hand, I think, with OLEDs.
hmm
Yeah,
That's
because if you think about some of the unique designs that you can do with a planar light source, right? So, when you think of lighting and light bulbs, you think of a socket,
yeah,
some way, sockets, fluorescent or screw or whatever. With the OLED design,
hmm
there's no socket anymore. So you've got a light bulb basically that's a square or a round circle. So now, as a an luminaire designer can say, well, I don't have to worry about having sockets and all that. I can just incorporate this square, and now you've got a really flat surface, right? You can actually even surface mount it to a wall.
yeah,
And you've got this, it looks like a recessed light source.
hmm
So that in itself is the uniqueness, this thin light source. It doesn't require a socket. So that drew us to that first. Also, that OLEDs are going to be introducing a curved panel, which uses Corning willow glass. It's actually glass that can bend, not plastic. And so that's on the horizon with OLEDs. So we said, well, let's work with some OLEDs and let's see if we can design a few things, which we did, which you could never do with a regular light bulb. The LED light bulb, even LED tape, is not the same.
yeah,
Because with OLEDs, you've got the square itself is one diode, and the organic material is just like sprayed on, and it's even. You can't get that with an LED tape because you're going to see dot 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 dot.
yeah,
And so that is an attraction with OLED. The drawback with OLED though is that it's pricey, and so Bob said, well, the concept is great. What else can we do? And he was looking at some startups in the lighting industry, and he came across Lightly Tech. And we said, well, what's this? It looks just like an OLED, but it isn't. This actually, what they did, it was very innovative, is they took the fact that OLEDs was very cumbersome to manufacture and a little bit more expensive. Let's do something on the less expensive side. We'll take LED technology, which are regular LED chips, miniaturize them, and put some kind of a light guide plate so there's LEDs here, and it goes, but on a small scale, so you don't see any dark spots, you don't see any dots. It's a patented technology, but the whole thing is flat. Again, no socket. So, and it's a little bit more inexpensive than OLED is. So you've got OLED technology as its own, and LED technology is its own, and they can complement each other. We actually made the gravity pendant light with an actual LED outer piece, OLED inner piece, and it's a really nice complement.
That's cool.
So I wouldn't say one is better or worse than the other. We were offering two different technologies with this. And so here we are innovating again with lighting, and how else it innovates. So that's the evolution. So from here, we don't know. Well, I can tell you what's going to happen from here.
Tell me. I want to know. I don't know.
I'm going to tell you. Well, it's already happening, but because of the smart technology, smart homes, Amazon, Alexa, and all of the smartness and the Internet of Things. Everything is in the cloud and through the Internet, and so is lighting. And lighting is going to be more prevalent in smart homes because they're experimenting now with because when you're on the Internet, you use broadband and using radio waves to connect to the Internet, and broadband is being used so much that it's overloaded with getting slower speeds. LED light can be modulated in such a way that it can transmit data.
Wow.
So you can sit under an LED light, a regular LED light, nothing special, that would be modulating light waves to your iPhone. And you would be able to connect, and you can, it's already on the market. You can connect to the Internet via a light bulb.
Wow.
Not radio waves. And because there's so many people on the Internet, the radio waves, there's hardly any more left. So how are we going to do this? So lighting now is going to be, what is it called? Li-Fi.
Li-Fi
instead of Wi-Fi, it's Li-Fi. And you can Google that, and they're experimenting. Of course, Philips is involved in that. And so the drawback so far is that the tablets and iPhones and computers don't have a receiver to receive the light, so they have to have a dongle attached. And so that's right now, nobody wants to bother with these little dongles in there. But as soon as Apple or somebody comes up with a receiver within the phone itself, then you can really just use light anywhere you're inside. You can use, and it's more safe too because
it's very secure. You can't hack it.
Because light waves don't go through walls.
Right.
You know, you're in a secure environment. So Li-Fi. So lighting for it in itself is not going to be as valuable as what the light bulb can do. Just like a phone, right? The phone is not as valuable to make phone calls. The phone is more valuable for what else it does. So lighting now, for the sake of lighting, is really an afterthought compared to what a light bulb now can do, which is provide Internet and data. So that's the evolution of lighting. It's really taking a turn.
All the way from the Edison light bulb now until smart LED bulbs
smart bulbs
that can connect you to the Internet.
Unbelievable.
And they talk to each other, the light bulbs.
Yeah, you talked about they're doing this in cars as well. I've mentioned that they're getting into cars and how I'll be able to. Is that what you were saying, Bob?
Right. The lights will be able to, from one car to another, will be able to talk to each other.
Yeah. And the same thing with your street lights, because as you're driving, the street light is going to be beaming down to you, and how many feet per street light every time.
Wow.
So it's very possible. I mean, the value in a light bulb will not be for the light emission; it'll be for the other things that it can do.
Like self-driving cars, the lights will be sending information, data from one car to another, because you won't be driving the car. The car will be driving itself, and it'll all be sending Li-Fi information from the street lights and the car and everything
Mhm.
You just sit there. I don't know what you're going to do in the car, but you'll have plenty of time to do it.
Well, that was awesome. That was great.
Yeah, so
Anything?
we'll see where Aamsco's going to head after this.
Right.
That's right. After the COVID-19's all gone, and
Oh, yeah.
business is back up and running, and
Yeah.
everybody's saying hello to each other, and trade shows are personal again. So
Yeah. Well, I'm looking forward to the next 46 years. So we'll see how that goes.
good.
Plus, it's good to have a crystal ball too.
That's
Yeah,
true.
well,
But
we should have
that's
one.
something. We don't have one.
Cool. All right. Well, thank you for everybody. That was awesome. Liz Congero and Bob Rosenzweig and Alan Smith. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll catch you next week.
Okay.
All right.
Thank
Sounds
you.
good.